Hello. Man, it feels like it's been a minute since we've done one of these. Let's do a show. Let's do a show with new stuff. New project. New season ish. New season of the year. Times of change. Time for a new project. I'm Tom. Can't do that on Salesforce. And we are starting. Well, you can't see it now. My face was in the way. We are starting YCDRPG, the You Can't Do role playing game. There's the face. We've done a couple of games on the show. We've done Uno, we've done Monopoly, we've done Rock, Paper, Scissors. I feel like there was another one in there too, but this is going to be not exactly a video game, but as video gamey as we can get with Salesforce. I think a role playing game is going to be a fun exercise in data model. Always fun. Game engine. I don't know if you all have noticed, but every single game that we build, Uno, Monopoly, again, all of them, there's a there's a big flow that passes off a lot of tasks to other flows, and I realize we've kind of accidentally built an engine for every single one of those, and have kind of maybe rebuilt it a little bit each time. I don't know if we're going to end up with something more abstract this time or not. It'd be kind of cool to be like, hey, we got a flow game engine. I don't know if we're going to get there, but I'm sure we're going to be flattering some different aspects of that engine to suit what we need to do for a role playing game. So my thought about a role playing game is Final Fantasy. I was a huge fan of this game. I played this game way too much. I was sixth grade, 11, 12. I don't know what happened in those years because I spent so much of it playing Final Fantasy. In fact, back in those times, you could go to the video store, which is probably foreign to most of you as it is, but you could go to a video store where you would rent VHS video cassettes, and as it became more popular, you could rent games, console games, Nintendo, Sega, OG Nintendo. There was a rule in my house growing up that could only play video games on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Absolutely no video gaming during the week. That was my parents' rule. And I stuck to it because if I didn't stick to it, then I wasn't going to get to play on the weekend anyway. But I tell you what, when the weekend came, I went hard on the video games. And my mom would pick me up from grade school. We would get in the car. We would drive to the local rent, movie and game rental place. And I must have rented Final Fantasy 50 times. Probably, in rental fees alone, probably bought it 3 times over. And then my parents got it for me for my birthday one year. So, yeah, played that one a lot. Played Dragon Warrior a little bit. I think that came out before Final Fantasy. And that was cool too. But Final Fantasy just hooked me. You got different characters, a team of 4, all kinds of maps and weapons and armor and monsters and all that stuff. So I'm gonna want to try to do that, right? And then I honestly that was an era of my life where I played those kind of games. Final Fantasy 3 came out for the Super Nintendo. I missed Final Fantasy 2 in there somehow. 3 was amazing. Again, when I was 14, it was an amazing story. All kinds of characters, complex layers of stories on top of stories. You needed the strategy guide, right? The big fat 100-page Nintendo Power strategy guide dedicated just to that game. And I read it forward and backwards. I guess I was totally hooked on it. Spent several hundred hours on that one. Probably could have been going to football games and hanging out with friends or whatever, but maybe my introversion started there, which I think is diminished since then. Then I didn't really play those games too much. Maybe Diablo, which isn't exactly the same kind of style, but same concept. Dungeons, monsters, weapons, upgrades. Diablo was cool because it was like generative, right? So you if you started a game, you're going to get new levels every time. They're the same monsters and a couple of different options of quests and whatnot, but just the fact that the map was different every time had huge replay value. And then Diablo 2 came out after that, which I would argue is still one of the best games ever, and probably stands the test of time. People are still streaming it. It's what, 25 years old now, 20 or 25. People love it. We're not going to build Diablo. We're not going to exactly build Final Fantasy, but I think I want to take the fun stuff from those and just kind of, let's see what we can do, right? Like I said, data model, I think there's a bunch of interesting stuff that we have to figure out how to store, there's a lot of luck involved in these games and like kind of probability of like, are you going to get the good sword, the kind of good sword, the not so good sword, right? We're going to try to replicate that. Monsters, of course. If you remember, Final Fantasy was like very turn based, so I think that's what we can handle with Salesforce. But even that, like I think there's, we've built a turn within the game engines we've built elsewhere. We've built a notion of turns, and I think that has to happen here too. Because I just want to like track the history of the game. Maybe it doesn't matter as much. Uno, we built turns because the thought was it'd be kind of cool to like be able to replay a game, and also the turns had some history associated with them. I don't know if we'll rely on the turns to have that kind of history, but we'll see what comes up. Maps, right? We've got to sort of figure out, how do you build a map? How do you build a map that's maybe generated? Tiles, on the map. What does that turn into in Salesforce? And then just the whole game in general, right? We got to be able to start a new game. I'm thinking like we start a game, we pick characters, we have different character classes. Maybe we'll just invent a few, to start. I mean, start a game. Where does it start? It kind of, a lot of these I jokingly call like it's like walking around simulator, right? So we need some way to like walk and go from place to place, from tile to tile, I guess. And then every tile kind of has like some sort of outcome to it. So maybe our game will be quite linear. Maybe our mission is to get from a place to a boss, right? Like a bad guy, a big bad guy we got to fight. And again, some randomness in there, some probability. In these other games, there's a lot of like, well, what's your luck stat, right? If your luck stat is higher, you have a higher chance of doing more damage or not missing the enemy or that kind of thing. And then also like, well, your weapon has luck, and so I think there's a bunch of like roll up stuff that we can maybe figure out. Inventory, how much stuff can you carry around? I always imagine these games in real life, you would just have like a giant treasure chest on your back carrying all your stuff around, and so I'm sure super super realistic. I was always under the impression that it's a magic chest that you could, or a bag of holding, right? You could put stuff in. It was infinitely sized. Who cares if you're carrying like 3 giant axes? You can totally do that. So yeah, I think a lot of moving parts. A fun idea, maybe. Definitely a fun technical curiosity. As with all of these, we're gonna try to live in flow as much as we can. We're gonna probably need some LWC, but I want to do reactive flows with LWCs, as we did a lot of that with Uno. And excuse me, try not to do much Apex, right? I don't think we'll need to. I want to kind of throw that out there and be like, maybe we don't need to do any Apex. The votes came in that we should do what I like to call a pro flow mode project. So we're going to try to steer away from any Apex if we can help it. And yeah, that's what we're gonna do. So I got an org. I will be good. I will be good about putting code in the repo, in a repo, and sharing that out. And I want to be good about creating some summary, whatever, video, text, something like that. I got a couple of AI tricks up my sleeve. Maybe tricks. I've never used any of these before, but we're going to give them a shot. That maybe do some summary of videos, summary text, that kind of stuff. We'll see how they do. It's either that or I have to, hire somebody to build some summaries. I want to get better at posting the videos. I think I'm going to post the full length that we're doing right now, this whole stream recording, and then a summary, if possible, through some, robot overlords to help with that. So uh, let's get started. Let's turn this off. Also, hope you all dig the 8-bitness of our logo here too. Maybe we'll make some more stickers. All right, turn this off. Turn this on. Scratch.org is alive, or VS Code project, Scratch.org, all good. I also just opened up a Draw.io diagramming tool, so we can kind of keep notes, keep tabs on our data model as we go through this. Eventually, we'll dive in and start building some stuff. I think today is going to be a lot of data modeling and kind of talking through some of the scenarios. Maybe we'll get to a little bit of flow, game engine stuff. Maybe not. We'll see. But plenty of content for the next several weeks, and I guess I've been calling things like season 2. I think we're kind of done with season 2. I think what I'm going to do, going forward is just let the seasons be more like episodic, right? Like, so we'll work on YCDRPG until we're done, maybe until we're bored, and see where this goes, and then we'll have another one. So the notion of seasons might kind of come to an end, but we're going to keep the show going, and hopefully with some better content and some more follow up with what we're working on each day. Also, it's allergy season, so I'm going to try not to snort on screen too much if I can help it. Apologize in advance if I just sound gross. All that said, I've got some liquid refreshment here that hopefully will keep that a little bit at bay. All right, let's get started. YCDRPG. What the heck do we need? What do we need to represent? Well, we need to represent... Oops, I don't want a square, I want a rectangle. I want a rounded rectangle. Who am I kidding? There we go. Round is so much softer, you're not going to cut yourself on the edges. We need some kind of game, right? So we need something that embodies the act. This is the equivalent of pressing the start new game on in Final Fantasy. Within a game, what do we have? We have... this is usually a one-player game, so this isn't... we've been doing a lot of collaborative games. Monopoly, Uno, or Rock, Paper, Scissors were all two-player games. Maybe we can make this collaborative at some way. I bet we could. I bet we could say, instead of it being competitive, right? It's collaborative. Those other games were multiplayer competitive. This could maybe be multiplayer collaborative, right? So I could have different. I'm going to build a. I'm going to build a squad, right? There's going to be I guess we'll call them characters, right? Within a game, red wizard, knight, ninja, that kind of stuff. So I guess we'll call those characters for now. We can have one or more characters. I haven't used Draw.io in a minute. Can I make these like squarey kind of things? There we go. Squarey. That's the word for that, right? When it has squared. We'll have one or more characters per game. There's something around an inventory, right? Whatever that may be. Sword. sword, shield, that kind of stuff. I wonder if there's like a concept of maybe like a slot, right? Because in Final Fantasy you can wear like one armor and hold one weapon. I think a shield and a helmet, right? Those are kind of the slots that a character has in a game. Campaign. That was the term I was looking for. I don't want to use campaign though. That'll just confuse us with. Wouldn't that be funny? If somehow turned native Salesforce campaigns into role-playing game campaigns based on the campaign members, and articulate all of your leads in the campaign as what kind of character they are. But I digress. Okay, so we could, let's see, if my inventory, I feel like my inventory is going to be like, could be a lot of things, right? Could be, things I hold, things I'm carrying, I'm going to sell, right? Could be like potions, gold. So maybe we have some kind of, I don't know about record type, but maybe some kind of, type. I'm going to start collecting a few fields around all this. There's definitely going to be some kind of type. Let me make an example there, like weapon, gold. Let me make this a little smaller. I don't want to make it impossible to read, but I guess I could make my squares bigger too. Okay, what else are we going to have? A piece of inventory belongs to a character. It may or may not be in a slot. But if it is, but if we arm it, right, it could be in a slot. There's also, there's probably a quantity to inventory, like 99 potions, right? Most things are going to have a quantity. Well, not most things, but anything unique, we're going to have a quantity of 1. But we could carry multiple of something. I also think we're going to need, so inventory is the application of an item, right? What's the inventory of, no, okay. What's the catalog of items that you can have in the game, right? Might we keep it simple? I can have sword, I can have shield, I can have armor, I can have, what am I missing? Helmet. Sure, let's go with helmet. Or in Minecraft style, maybe I can have boots too. Once we sort of design the pattern around some of these, I think it will become easier to to expand, right? Because we're not gonna it's not so much that we need to name our inventory; it's that we need to have a way to inventory. We need to have a way to, or I'm sorry, we need to have a way to catalog our items as something. We need to be able to apply an item to the inventory of a character in a game. We may need to be able to put an inventory into a slot. So that actually might be kind of a that might be a concept down here on the item. Like, is it slottable? Or maybe even better, there's a slot type that perhaps we're defining those, and then we can indicate what slot an item goes in. So this might just be a lookup from the item to know what slot type it belongs to. Then we can use that to inform our slots, like of what just happened there, what they are, right? So we can guarantee that when an item turns into inventory, it's going to go into the right slot when the time is right. I don't have no idea what I'm pointing at here. What in the world? Okay. Let's delete that. That arrow's giving me trouble. I'm going to grab another one. So from slot type to slot. You guys hear that chicken? And then item also needs to, or I'm sorry, inventory is going to look up to an item so we know it knows what type it is. And then we get back around to the slot that way. Now, during the game, so this is Diablo mode for me, right? So you would have a sword. That sword would have a prefix, right? And then that sword would have, or I'm sorry, let me make it a little more generic, right? That equipable item, slottable item, I guess we could call it to use our language, could have a prefix, flaming sword, right? And then a suffix of something, flaming sword of fire, right? So you get a bonus on the front and the back, I guess, or what have you. So that's kind of cool, right? Like I think that would be that could be fun. You know, I think our what would we call that? We would call that like attributes, like item attribute. Maybe that's the inventory attribute. Let's start there. See how that plays. That's going to have a type, I guess. We would say, like in my example, right? Prefix is flaming, and then suffix is fire, of fire, I guess. So we want to know which one it does. And then we want to know, I guess, the like the properties, right? Like the stats, maybe. Or maybe it's like min stat, max stat, so we can have a little bit of variability there. Again, Diablo would say, here's your, frozen sword, and then frozen is an attribute for, and actually we should probably put like, cold, ice, fire, lightning, right? What would you call that? I was gonna say element. Maybe we just call it element for now. You might not have an element, right? You could just have a damage, right? Yeah. Maybe that's an inventory attribute is, let's call this position, right? Suffix, prefix, suffix, and then the type could be here, right? We'll say like fire, damage, something like that. Maybe that type turns into a, it's definitely a pick list, but it maybe somehow becomes an object if we need to describe what it means to have fire, right? So now you get fancier from there. You could combine, I think an inventory attribute, maybe this is just attribute. And then we have something in the junction here. This would be an inventory attribute. I'm going to close that door in a second because that is the chattiest bird of the day. Yeah, I was looking to see if my mic registered that, and I'm pretty sure it does. I'll have to watch it or listen for a second at the end of the show. How far in are we? We're 25 in. Here I gotta take a very important note. Here 25:00. Check for chicken sounds. Okay. So yeah, so we have this again, we have a catalog of items, we have a catalog of attributes that we can apply to those items when they become inventory, and we can have one or more of these because maybe we want to stack them somehow. Maybe the act of stack. So in like Diablo, again, keep picking on this. when you can get a this of this that, or this of that that, and sometimes they get like a funkier name, and so maybe we actually would end up having we could give this a name perhaps too. But if we do this, we can also do this like dynamically, right? So, and maybe we're going to apply some weighting, right, to these values. So maybe there's like a weight, right? Like the weight. We'll say weight because I think the combination of weights might define the probability of how likely you are to get one. And then your probability is sort of like multiplied by your luck, right? You get some kind of boost there. That'll be an interesting little engine to have to build around all this. But so I start a game. I have one or more characters. That character finds stuff and adds it to their inventory. That inventory might be able to go in a slot, aka like a weapon adds damage, a armor adds defense, a shield adds defense, and a helmet adds defense. And they could all have some other like defending type stuff. And I think our attributes might need to align to the type also. Right? We might need a way to say these are only valid for this type, perhaps. But I think we'll come back to that a little later. So that's sort of like, we've sort of defined a character there, right? Or we'd have multiple of these. What other aspects of the game do we need to have? We need to have, I guess, quests, right? We'll call them quests. And then a quest has a location. So this might get into our maps a little bit. Quest has a location. Maybe it's coordinates. Kind of thinking about I mean, really, it could just be distance, right? For our purposes, the quest could be like literally how. At the end of the day, if you play Final Fantasy, all you really need are the steps, the optimal path, right? So I think our game to start might be, linear, right? There isn't a visualized map yet of how to get from here to there. So our game might start out a little bit linear where, our let's see, we need a path, right? So we need to take a step. In Final Fantasy, if you hit your controller once, you would take a step forward. I think when you started the game, you started out like a town, and then you went to a cave, and that was a very linear path. There was really nothing to look at between here and there. You just had to go do the thing. As you advanced through the game, you had more kind of, I'll call them like, well, just multiple paths. Maybe in its simplest form, they were like side quests, right? And the side quest was as simple as like, go get that chest over there. So not super sophisticated, not much of a story behind it, but it was a quest, and that was that was a thing that you had to do. Here, 1 second here. Does that? Trying to play with the light a little bit. It's like very, very bright out today. Maybe we don't need this one too. Yeah, you probably didn't even notice that. So somehow, our quest has a location. Maybe it's not location. Maybe right now it's just distance, right? How far away? How many steps do you have to take to get there? And so from that, and again, we might want to define these quests to have like a catalog of them, right? We could make this dynamic too. Maybe not every game, we'll say game quest, right? Want to relate the game to the quest. Then the quest has a distance. We can, I guess we could actually even make that variable, right? Maybe it's more of like a min-max. The minimum distance is this, the max distance is that. So you kind of get a little bit of a, I'm going to say roguelike. You don't know exactly how far you have to go to get there. I played a card game kind of like this. What was it? Oh, 5-Minute Dungeon, right? There's a little bit of that here too, right? If we do this sort of, because that game, that's a linear card game. And basically it's like your cards represent the dungeon. So in some way we're similar concept here. So we have the quest. Well, in 5-Minute Dungeon, you weren't guaranteed like how far you were going to go. You drew cards, and those cards would either make the dungeon larger or smaller, or you could skip steps and stuff like that. But so maybe min-max is a good idea to keep we can add again a little bit of variability to the quest. We might also say, like, is it required? Required, or maybe sort of like main mission, side mission, main quest, side quest. Like you have to do this in order to do that, and then I guess there is also kind of a notion of like, well, what was the previous quest, and we could move the main. Yeah, you could have like some multiple dependency. I don't think we're going to do that. But you got to finish this before you can do that. And maybe side quests could actually be ones where this doesn't open up until you do something else. So I think there's also like a difficulty, right? Because the game's got to get harder as you go on. So a difficulty is going to kind of tell us, really kind of like the level, right? So you have a level 1 quest, maybe the damage or the strength of the strength of the enemies, which we got to talk about enemies. The strength of the enemies is 1, level 2, 2, 3, 3, right? So something to multiply damage, and maybe it's a wider range, right, of damage, or a wider range of defense, right? That whole, again, that element thing, I think that's going to come back, and because there's always this kind of concept of like weakness, right? So like if you're fighting a snowman, abominable snowman, if you want to have a fire weapon because you melt the guy, right? That would be important to to be able to do that. So maybe we'll come back to that. I'm gonna have like a little parking lot of maybe objects here. So element, maybe. So I start a game. I get the first quest, right, which is probably the quest that has no previous. So we assign that to the game. It preordains the distance. So we actually want the distance here. Right. We could get the other stuff from the we get the difficulty, requiredness and all that from back a step. And then the quest has steps. I think the quest has steps. I'm going to call it quest step. I don't know what our attributes are on that yet. But as with everything, we probably have a catalog of, we could call this step maybe, and then we'll call this step type. Grass, swamp, cave, right? That kind of, that sort of thing. Sorry, pause for dramatic drinking effect. Liquid Death Convicted Melon. Still not sponsored. I think our first go at this is going to be a pretty random set of steps. We could build it, right? So again, just like with Uno, we build the whole deck. Like the game engine knows about it. Once you get a quest, we can build out the steps, to get there. And again, like Darkest, so all these games start rushing in, right? Darkest Dungeon, right? You go into a dungeon. Usually, I think you see the whole map, and then the quest is usually like clear all the rooms, or clear 80% of the rooms, or kill the pig monster, whatever that may be. So, but what the dungeon looks like, and so it's not really unknown. But in our case, we could make it known or not known, and that might even be kind of like a that could be a property here, right? Like visible steps, right? Somebody could be like in the dark, you can't see anything. But each step is some type of step, right? So, you could have, the step type, right? Or just the name, I guess, thinking in Salesforce terms. Grass, cave, right? We'll figure out what those are. And then there could be some attributes here. Like I'm thinking, these might be really specific, right? We might say, like speed, right? So you take it wouldn't necessarily be a speed through it. It might be a speed through a battle that if you're confronted with monsters, and you're not going to have monsters every step either, right? So we may or may not have monsters at each step. But we build all our steps when the game quest is assigned, I think. Can I let's see. I don't know if I can write right on those. Built on assigned, built when quest assigned. So that smells like a flow, right? We're going to have a little engine that tells us, I'm picky, I'll align this. We're going to have a little engine that tells us what to do. Or we're going to have an engine that builds steps, I suspect. Really builds a quest, right? Loops through steps, makes stuff happen. And it got dark again. Oh, I don't want to open Creative Cloud. I want to open Let There Be Light. A little more light. So a step relates back to its type. What else could be affected by a step type? Maybe it's like, again, I think we're going to have some many-to-manys here. Maybe are there specific monster types that come along with that, or do we just pull from the catalog of types? Is there, maybe there's, what do we say? Reward types. Like, what are you likely to get out of this space? This is all like the weighting, I feel like when these games would come out, Diablo came out, and then they released a bunch of updates because they were quote unquote like reweighting the items. This sword was too strong, or it's possible to get too many bonuses, or this enemy is overpowered. So I kind of get it now, right? They're probably like balancing these sorts of numbers. We're gonna get into some data. We're gonna get into some calculations for sure. We're already up to what? Like, we got a dozen objects here, and we haven't talked about monsters yet. But I also think we're not super far off, right? So we're going to have these steps in a quest based on a step type. I think we're going to have I mentioned monsters, so we're probably going to have a step monster. We could have many of those, potentially. Final Fantasy, you could have like up to nine bad guys, depending on their size. Could be a step slot situation, right? This is more like an inventory. So I'm going to change that name. So inventory slot. I'm not going to get too abstract. I've done that with some other projects, and it usually ends up bad. I'm definitely in a camp of like more objects are better. I say all that because I could turn slot to be an inventory slot or a monster or a step slot. Monster slot. Probably what that might look like. I say that because I think we want to be able to limit, or again, create a range of how many monsters you can fit, right? So there's probably a min max monsters. Yeah. So we have a step monster, and then over here we have a monster. So the definition of that monster. I'm going to grab my chair. Let's see. Can we go down a little bit here? A little out of focus. Does that look okay? No, not really. I'm going to move camera down a little bit. I think. Blah. Big hand. Maybe that looks good. Hello. Okay. I'll try to stay in focus. So we're... Okay. Monster. A lot of junctions here. A lot of definition and instance going on. A monster is going to have... I would say like min-max health, right? Then when we create one, then it's got HP. And then that monster might have attributes as well. Now I might reuse attributes for both monster and inventory. Maybe even character. We want to be able to distribute experience points. We got to think about experience points, right? So maybe there's like a min-max XP right here for... Okay. And then even like a min-max level. We were talking about levels of our steps to get through our quest, which is really the steps would be a level based on the game quest. Sorry. And then there's probably like some, there's some concepts of weakness, resistance, sometimes immunity. Those might all be attributes that we can define, but then we have to kind of roll. Maybe we roll them, maybe we don't. Maybe those attributes, again, for simplicity. Well, honestly, for super simplicity's sake, we might not care about any of that. So we could have one or more monsters on a step. Step reward, right? Or step item. Actually, that probably would work. Because then we can go, crazy arrow, down to our step. One or more things that could be rewarded for winning the battle. I think this model would support bosses too. Whoops, where is that arrow going? I have no idea what is going on here. Try again. I think this could support bosses because a boss could basically be just be in the catalog of monsters, right? You would just have to have the last step. Maybe the quest has to point at a monster that's like the boss, right? So the quest has boss. So you could say on the last step, put the boss as the step monster, and only one. That's kind of just the rule of a boss. Or, again, we'll get fancier. Sometimes you fight a boss. There's like 4 other bad guys you gotta get through. All that good stuff. If this were Uno or something like that, not if this, in games like Uno and Monopoly and things like that, we had notions of rounds, right? So really, at a step, if there are monsters on that step, you are having one or more rounds of battle with that enemy, or with those monsters. So I don't know if we really need to do that. I would love to not, because that just feels like super. We could always come back and do that. Like I remember with Monopoly, I had a curiosity about like, well, what if we did like you could do some stats, like some serious stats with that kind of data. And maybe we can get into our AI world someday. Maybe we care that our game has AI in it, I guess. Maybe we can use a little bit of, well, that might be kind of interesting, right? Could we use a little bit of, a little bit of GPT, Bard, whateverness, to get our stuff back from this. Maybe that might be kind of fun. Probably not for today, but for the future, we'll keep it pretty manual for right now, I think, and get more sophisticated as we go. Things that I don't need, right? Or maybe things we gotta have in order to make a game work. I would say like here's our first kind of scope, right? I gotta have a game. How do I fill? There we go. Oops. Let's just go with this grid. Here we go. I gotta have characters, at least one. I probably need to at least do inventory slot and inventory. Could probably fake it a little bit. I think I need quest. I'll get game quest. I'll get step. So not doing a lot of the types yet. Not doing a lot of the... we might have to make some of the... Actually, no, we don't. We don't really even have to make the many-to-many yet. But I think the items in green are like round 1 or, phase 1. So we have some objects to create, and we have some obligatory Salesforce stuff to do, like create apps and, all those other fun things. Sorry, just checking up on some stuff here. Home fires are burning. All good. You might be surprised to know that I unfortunately can't make a living off of the show quite yet. And so I have a day job. You probably already know that. Okay, so let's flip over here. Let's do our obligatories. We got to make an app. YCDRPG. And that and that. And we're not going to do any assignments yet. We're not going to do any profiles because we're going to be good boys and girls and use our permission sets. Now, I have made one more evolution to permission setness, and have been experimenting with permission set groups as personas. Is that Latin? I don't know. As personas, and then permission sets as much more like atomic, settings, right? So I might have something like, in this instance, it's completely contrived, but maybe not completely contrived, because let's pretend. Let's not pretend. Let's make a. I'm going to back into this a little bit and see if it makes sense. I'm going to have a permission set group, a persona, right, called YCDRPG admin, right, and there's like full access. All objects that we're going to create, they can do the full CRUD, modify all, view all stuff. Boom. And it was created. I don't have any permission sets to add to it yet. And then I'm going to create another. I can't clone. I just realized that you can't clone. Not that you would really need to. I'm going to make another one. Let's call it YCDRPG player. Right. So they have scope only to access to assigned games. Right. Assigned games and related objects. And again, I haven't done anything here yet. So, because what I'm going to do is, and I think I still, do I? I can create I haven't done this one yet. Let me show you what I have been doing. So I got those two. And then granularity, right? Granularity around permission sets. Objects, I don't even have an object yet. So let's back up. Nope. What? Stop. Let's back up. Let's make a new object. Game, right? We need that. Games. And then I'm just going to make that an auto number, and we'll say game. I don't know why it's always 6 for me, but it's always 6. Field history, maybe. Search we don't exactly care about. Let's make a new tab. Yeah, make the search. It's fine. Doop. You know what? We want to name. We want to name the game. Yep. I'm gonna go back and change that in a second. What's a good? Is there a map? Maybe. Yeah. Actually, quest would probably be a map. We'll go with star. Tab hidden. Do not use profiles. We are going to add this to our YCDRPG. And I'm going to go back and just change the name field to a text field because why not? Goofy names, you know. Maybe we come up with a silly inventory of possible names. Make that text. I think I have to get rid of that. Come on. It's crazy how old that view is. There's like no just ancient. I gotta look at it again. What? Look at this. This is like, what is this, first edition Salesforce over here, I think. Still using it. Yeah, I guess if it's not broke, don't fix it. Okay, game has a name. Now, flip back over to, I'm actually going to duplicate this because we're going to thrash back and forth here a little bit. Flip back over to, where am I? Okay, permission sets. And I'll open up permission set groups in another tab. And what's going on over there? Oh, I thought I saw something. Sorry. Here's groups, right? Groups equal persona. So I got an admin and a player. And then, so kind of like bringing everything up a level, right? So I used to use the permission sets as the persona. So you would have, player, have a player permission set and a admin permission set. But what I'm going to do is go a little more granular with my permission sets. So now that I got a group that I can put these in, I can mix and match what who needs access to what. I've kind of been using this convention of like, again, to keep it granular, I'm going to create an object or a specific permission set that grants full access to the game object. Then I'm going to create another one that only grants view. I'm sorry, create, read, edit. So not delete, not mod all, etc. I'm gonna give the admin rights to the admin. I'm gonna give the player rights, we're gonna do the player rights to the player. In this case, not super relevant, but in like the real world, being able to mix and match permission sets at the group level, it's a lot of flexibility. So you don't have to say, oh well, I have to use a muting permission sets and things like that. We can try to be as kind of additive as possible. All right, so object settings. Game. This is the admin, so we're going to let them have everything. We'll add more fields eventually. Okay, there's game admin, and then I'm going to come right back in, and I'm going to do objects, game, player. We could have like a game viewer if we wanted to let people see but not play, I guess. Probably not a real use case, but I guess that could happen. Let's see, where'd you go? Games. All right, so this is the player. We want them to see the tab. We want them to be able to create. We want them to be able to edit. For right now, I'm not going to do view all, just hypothetically, if there were a bunch of games going on, you might only. It's not that we don't want you to see the other games. It's just a lot of data to have to deal with. I don't know if we're going to grant edit access to all the fields here on the game object to the players. Might just have to be read only. I don't know if we're really going to like count down stuff, or if if a player would have to interact with that object directly. So we'll see. They might just become a game viewer, right? That could be if I want to kind of keep. I like that. I kind of have this hierarchy of definitely admin, user, viewer is something that's come up a lot in other projects. Sometimes even like admin, power user, user viewer, limited viewer, right? Like that's the power user. Or, your standard user can see what they need to see and edit what they need to edit. They're like an active participant in an object. Power user might get a little bit more because they just have, they need more rights. And then, or certain functions that not everyone, sales, sales account manager versus sales manager, something like that maybe. And then admin has everything. Viewer has view access to more stuff, and then limited viewer, or maybe it's even like power viewer, viewer, something like that. I haven't done the powers yet, but that's something that comes to mind in thinking about some tiers. The nice thing about that is then I can like apply a consistent tiering. So when you need to create new permission sets, you can sort of follow that five tier set of options and make decisions accordingly, and then apply them to personas, right? So our player is a game power user, or is a power user of the game object, sort of that kind of thing. Okay, so all that said, we want to grant access we're going to give the game admin access. And then we're going to give, I'm not going to go back to setup. I don't know why that would be where you want me to go. And then we'll give player gives Apex Guru access to analyze code for anti-pattern. Huh. That's new to me. Always new stuff. Okay. So we got those. We're going to do more of that. But for right now, that's, again, sort of how I am thinking about permission set groups lately and permission sets. Trying to come up with that like 5-tier, at least around objects. So actually, let's do something else here, right? Let's create a permission set for the app. Apps, YCDRPG user. I don't think there's a lot of aspects of the app that it's just assigned, right? You're in or you're out. Again, though, keeping them pretty granular. I wish you could. This is something I have in my mind. So once you set up this structure, right? Like permission set group is persona, and permission set is granular access. There are a lot of ladybugs coming in my house right now. Wow. Sorry, distraction. I should close the door. I'm gonna close the door. Yeah, we got critters. Welcome to fall, where all the bugs want to stay alive. If we're gonna sit in here, we probably should turn the AC on, or I will turn into a pumpkin. Okay. All right. Keep it cool. Personas. Personas are roles. Permission sets become discrete rights to things. So you can imagine a grid here, right? That says by persona, by permission set, what should they have, and be able to kind of grid that whole thing out. Maybe that's coming. I don't know. It'd be a fun exercise to build that. Not gonna do that on the show because we're making games. But I do need to grant app access to both of these permission sets. I gotta believe that it's gonna get easier to go to a permission set, and so if I picked this, assignments right now are just people. It would be great to be able to assign to permission set groups here. I'm also a fan of, I don't know if I'm a fan. I'm sort of like pondering the idea of, if you're an admin, should the permission sets be like additive, right? So to be an admin, you also need viewer, user assigned, or should the permission set groups be comprehensive? I think the latter, just to avoid these like assumptions of, well, maybe I assign them the user, but they have the admin, so they should have everything because it says admin, but it's not. They don't really have everything because they're not really an admin. You know what I mean? So I think I'm going to make them like comprehensive. That's sort of the pattern that I've been going with so far. So permission sets in this group. Let's add the app. And then we're going to go back to our player and do the same. And there's what? Oh, I clicked the name, not the checkbox. Well, my AC is doing work. Oh, 64. Whew. Let's go to 68. And my call. What on earth just happened to my screen? That was super weird. My screen is currently half in the dark. Wow, that was kind of bizarre. It's almost, what just happened? This wouldn't be a problem if I couldn't see what we're doing. It looks great on the stream. It's full brightness, but definitely not that right now. All right, we're gonna pause for a second so we can do a little bit of. I guess we got to do a little minor surgery here. I'm gonna pause my screen a second and see if we can figure out. Give you guys a picture. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on here. Oh, it's really weird. I'm gonna unplug and replug. That's probably the best bet. Or maybe just turn it off, back on. Buttons. And we're back. Okay, that was super strange. And what was funny is it coincided. I hit my remote for the air conditioning. You probably heard it go boop. As soon as it went boop, my screen went away. Half of it. Not even a half, like a triangle's worth here. Weird. Technology's weird. I don't know if they had anything to do with each other. It was just dumb luck timing. Anyway, so now both of our personae have access to the game object, and they have access to the app. So we got those down. I haven't assigned anybody to these yet. I guess I should assign myself to the admin. Or am I going to be able to see anything? I don't know why this happens. I see this in scratch orgs a lot. Like, I don't know what keeps it from. I have to flip it around the other way here and do the assignments from the user itself. Okay, so there's my admin. Now I should be able to see stuff. Did we assign... No, I thought we assigned the game to... Did we assign the game to the app? No. That should do it. There we go. Games, new game. Merlin's Quest. Merlin. Merlin's Merlin's thing. Merlin's a cool name. Okay, so we have a game. Man, get rid of our stuff there. We've got a game. Ching. Let's make a character object. I don't think we're going to need that anymore. Is character the right word? I don't know. Let's say yes for now. It could be player, right? Member. Let's just go with character. I wanted to make it a vocabulary lesson. Characters. They could have names too, right? And not saying we could get into something like, you know, a character could be in different quests, but that could be a thing someday too. I don't, for right now, I'm not going to create a tab. That does sound interesting, though. Somehow you could have some sort of like, you know, maybe you can only be in one quest at a time, but you could like complete quests and then go do another one, right? Then it's sort of like a EverQuest kind of situation. That's kind of interesting. Not gonna lie. But for, well, I was gonna say, but for right now, I mean, we haven't even done anything with it yet. So, yeah, well, let's make a new tab. Person. People. Come on. There we go. And then we'd have a junction, right? We'd have a character quest. Or a character game. Or game character, yeah. This, I think we'll just make a... do we make it a... We could make that a name also. Maybe like combine the... combine the name, the game name and the character name. I don't think we need a tab for that though. Oh, I'm not tired. I'm not tired, you're tired. This needs lookups. Probably master details. To the game. Let's see. Minimum access. I think if you can view the game. Master detail on both sides, because if either one doesn't exist, there's no point in this record existing. Probably could change the name of those two titles, but that's pretty good for now. So one thing I'm going to do for a moment is just do the permission sets for the admin view and go back and create. Actually, I probably could create faster the. Again, this would be like a great, just for scripting's sake. You could do viewer. Again, in sort of like viewer user, and maybe I should use that same language here. Viewer user admin, you could write some scripts that pretty quickly generate the metadata that's associated with each of those tiers, and then also give the access accordingly. It got dark again. Hello. Yeah, so that would, again, if I had a script, I could just kind of, all right, made a new object, boom, go do stuff, or updated an object, bang, change all the fields. Although after we create these things, that would be the cool part, right? You create a new object, and you automatically get 1, 2, 3 permission sets, or even up to the 5 that we've been talking about. The 3 are pretty simple because I can give view all to the, or I have it in place. So when I start adding fields, like even in the UI, I can say this group, that group, or I'm sorry, this set, that set, the other set, and add them in real time. Whereas now I kind of have to like go back. Right, I've added some fields, so I'm gonna backtrack. It's not a big deal, but like if this pattern were something I used a lot, I probably would want to, just script it out somehow. I've never made a CLI plugin. I would love to do that at some point, but just haven't. Okay, let's see. If I come out here, I don't have rights to see this stuff. I do have rights to see game characters, but I don't think I can see players yet. Let's do some permission setting. I'm gonna make a couple of new list view. What? That's interesting. What? I can't make a edit. New? Okay. Objects. Where permission set details name starts with why didn't you pick that? Okay. Starts with objects. Columns to display. Got the label, description. I don't know what else we need. It's probably good. Okay, and if I edit this, will that work? Yep. Let's do apps. So again, like big buckets. Okay, I don't know why it. What happened to all? That's weird, right? Seems weird. Anyway, I'm gonna create a new. I gotta create a couple of new things here. I gotta create objects, character, admin. Kind of using the those big level buckets at the top to drive the groupings within the sets. So there's an admin for the character object. And then let's do another for the character game, or the game character object. Admin. You know. Okay, and then I'm going to put those in my groups, or at least my admin. One thing that's interesting is you can see what's assigned, and then if you do add permission set, you actually can just pick them all again. It'll probably bark at me on a couple of these. Yep. And actually, I didn't want to do the game player. Let's remove that one. Okay. Ready, be done. Okay. So now I can see characters. I'm going to make a new character. Let's call him Merlin. And then we're going to relate him to Merlin's quest. Merlin in Merlin's quest. We might want a separate title field because I'm pretty sure the name fields aren't going to be long enough at some point, especially if people come up with interesting names. But now I can see. Maybe we didn't add that to the layout. That's weird. Okay. I was expecting to see the game. The game character. Oh no, I'm on the game character. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so we have done. So we do have a new object in here, actually. I'll copy that. Let's copy this. Game character. And that's going to be a junction between these. All right, I'm going to go back the other way, and let's do quest and game quest. Yeah, I think quest needs a. That's taking a minute. I'm going to use the map. This one. And that goes in YCDRPG. And then let's make a junction. Game quest. I don't know if I think we're just going to make this, oops. Okay. Master detail to game and quest. I want an Einstein future that I can just talk to and have it set up this whole data model for me. It's coming, right? Please. A lot of this is very, repetitive. We're just create this object, create that object, create a junction between them. Surely it can see a bunch of junctions in every other Salesforce org that's ever been built. Okay, a couple more permission sets. Dare I say I'm now getting cold? That object is... This is quest. This is quest. All right, and then one more. And finally, put them in the admin group. Game quest and quest. Oops. There we go. Okay, so that gives us access to, I believe, all of everything we need here. So then if we had a quest, let's make a new one. The dark cave of darkness. Yep. That's the definition of the quest, and this is going to go into Merlin's thing. And there you go. Okay. Boom. We got game, we got character, we got quest. Now what? Now what? Now we got fields to put out here. Maybe we'll get to a little flow today after all. Maybe we'll be able to, start a game. and kind of work through that. Maybe. Uh, okay. Let's see. Back to our so a quest. I'm going to use our, I'm going to use our language here. Some numbers now. Get into some math. Min steps. Let's see the minimum allowed steps for this quest. And oh wait, all right, I'll do it. I'll do it here, but then I need to update the user interface settings, or I'm gonna go crazy if. Am I in the right spot? We want the permission sets. It's not user management settings. Where are you? Where is that checkbox? I can never remember. We want the checkbox that lets us see the reports here, or see the. I want to see the. It's not here, is it? Yes, it is here. Field for permission sets during creation. Yeah, turn that on too. Turn that on too. Okay. Now I should be able to see in that step. Min steps, max steps. The maximum allowed steps. Okay, and yes. Did I... Wait a minute. Did I put the same... I may have put the same object on both of those. Let's go check that out. Oops, assigned objects. No, game quests. So why did it allow me to... That was weird, right? I think it let me do something here. Why on... What just happened there? These are... That's really weird. What just happened? Let's look at Game Quest. It definitely doesn't have those fields. So why? Well, okay, quests does. But we're not doing any of this. Oh, is it required? I made min steps required, I think. Yes. And then max steps is not required, but if I make it required, then what happens? Okay, there's nothing there. Does something funky happen with required fields in that setting? I don't know. We'll try it again. So min steps, max steps. Checkbox required. Say the main storyline. That could be something for the future too, right? Like, I don't know what exactly it's called, but like, storyline. Like you have different expansion pack, right? The main game is the main storyline, and then the DLC is Bob's House of Halloween because it's Halloween season. We'll save that for another day. Okay, so required, previous. That's going to be another quest. Next quests. Let's see when populated. This represents the chain of quests in a game. The first quest does not have this field populated. I suppose you could do some branching with this if you wanted to open up multiple things. Let's just call it level. I think for now, we'll make that a number. I'm going to make it... I think this is going to probably play into some... I think this is going to play into some... Whatchamacallit? What am I trying to say? calculations. All right, so I'm going to give it a little bit of range for, I don't think you're going to need more than 3. Like level 100 feels just fine to me, but we'll see. Maybe we need to extend that at some point. Yeah, that kind of has to, it's required. So it's required on a, well, if it's required, it's required. So we can't really. Does that do anything? I don't think if the checkbox actually does anything. Okay, so now we would have boss, but we're not there yet. So we have a quest. We know the steps. We definitely built a random thing somewhere else. And I'm not going to use it. We're going to, so let's say, I know we said no, no Apex. My exception will be invocables only, right? So when it's easier to just ask for a number, we're going to go ahead and use that instead. Like random, Flow can, or Apex can do a great job generating random stuff for us. So why not use it? Okay. So then what's left? We have our let's see, game quest. The game quest would have its distance because we're going to calculate that. That is a number. I'm going to go 3. It does need that field. So that gets calculated when the game starts. Visible steps, not really necessary right now. Come back to that. We'll make a step object. That's a, what is that? Step or? To keep consistent with the naming, I'm going to call it a game step. And that's, I don't think we need a tab for that. Okay. Another master detail. Right, so we're going to have a master to game. Okay. This is game step. Change the name there. We will need the other side of this at some point. I'm not going to do that just yet. I think we could build a little bit of flow here. We can have a flow that does the character selection, either create new or pick existing, I guess. And then we could have, when that is done, we can have a auto flow that generates the really just the first quest, right? And then the question becomes, do we actually Um, do we actually generate the entire game? Or do we wait until it's a turn? You know, a move, essentially. It's probably easier, right? To just, well, and I guess we could just write a flow, make another flow that, so I probably need some inventory here. Um, let's just, we'll make our flows, we'll make our flows parallelograms, right? So we have, there is a create game. There's also going to be a add character. That's going to happen within, pick one of these up above. That's going to happen within create game. And add quest. That might not need to be its own flow. That's just something we got to do. But hold out for that. And then we probably do need to add step as part of add quest. I think. It could be, it might also be a create game. Yeah. In fact, maybe we follow the pattern, you know, because I don't want to have a dependency. Create game should be able to handle the loop of each of these. Unless, can we do it as a... We probably could do it as a... yeah, we probably could do it as all one flow, right? Well, that add character step, though, is going to be like kind of loopy. And it's sort of like when we created Uno. Was it Uno? Where we said they pick add a player, add a player, add a player, check a box to say done adding players, and then we moved on to the next step. It would be that kind of pattern again. Adding a quest to the game, pretty straightforward. We just pick the the quest that has no previous, and then adding a step. I think there's going to be some logic wrapped up in add a step, so we might want that to be a self-contained flow also. But let's, you know... Oh, wait, we need to create some... Sorry, we need to create some permission sets here. There we go. And add it to the group. Wait, what? GameStop. Couldn't see it. All right. There's GameStop. So now we can see. This is the quest assigned to. Here, we'll make the distance 10. Sure. Now there should be fields on here. Do I not have permission to them? No, definitely do. Okay. Okay, so min steps 8, max steps 12. This is we have to do this. That's the first one. Level 1. 0.000. Probably would have done that for us anyway. Okay, so our Dark Cave of Darkness quest is here. It is associated with, you know what we could do? We could make, let's edit this page. Can we do that? I don't know if we, yeah, we could create a related list that shows the games. And we can call this games, game name, done, goodbye. Nope, nope. Save, activate, org default. Actually, wait, go back. App default here. All right, so there we go. So we've got this quest is related to this game, and then this game. Go back to the quest. Keep editing this a little bit. Pull this up. I don't think we need. I don't think we need those. I don't know why it's not showing anything here. It's kind of weird. Okay, save that. Let's go back. In max, we could lay these out a little different. But if I go to the game, and then I edit this page, I don't. I want to see the characters. I want to see the quests. I want to see the steps. So again, I'm going to do related list single. This is going to be the game characters, upgrade. So I'm basically kind of like burying the junction here a little bit. Because then we can pick the character name. these because we're going to just do that in the context of the game or when we set it up. And we'll make this the app default. And okay, and then we're going to do the same for the other ones. I'll be right back. I just heard the door. 1 second. And we're back. I got a package. Let's see what it is. Ooh, camera stuff. Y'all want to see the unboxing? Box. Small rig. This is a clever little thing that takes all of the little screws and random parts that are always floating around with that are always floating around with your camera gear, and check that out. It's like a little tray to keep them all in. These are magnet. These are all like typical size, like Allen wrench, and it's supposed to be like a little reset button thing, but they're all pretty standard size stuff in the camera world. And I've got a bunch of this stuff laying around that I thought would just be handy. And and it's a great fidget toy too. Also not sponsored. Where are we going to put that for now? I'm going to put it on a keychain hanging off of my belt buckle. Not really. Okay, we're laying this out. We're kind of bypassing the... in fact, let's change this layout. We'll do header in 3. Sure. Put this up top. And then got our characters. We're going to do these other ones. Related list. Quests. If I do tile, does it actually make a difference? No. Because it's in small view. Show list view action bar. No, I don't think we need to do that. We could turn that off everywhere. Quests. Quest name. Okay, and then we'll do steps. Actually, we won't do steps. No, we'll just do number of steps in the quest. So maybe instead this is more like a 2 header and 2 regions. Yep. Here we go. Do we want to see? We don't want these. Okay. Save that. So let me go back to my game. How's this look? Probably will have a status on the quest. So again, these are both bypassing the junction. So we're just, even though it says characters, it's actually the game characters list. We're just setting it up so that we can go right to the characters. And then if I go to the quest, I can see the games that it's interesting that these look so different than this. Let's edit this. Isn't that weird? I don't know why. Why would they look different? I like this better. Maybe because it's thinned out. We could lay out the other one the same, I think. We'll also get a couple extra fields in there, which would be handy. And yeah, that looks a little better now. So this is the games that have this quest in them. Adjust that layout at some point too. And all right, so we've got game, Merlin's thing, Merlin's mission. Got a character named Merlin, and he's assigned to this game, and we're working the quest here. Again, let's go to the flow. If we get rid of Merlin's mission, then everything goes away. Not the quests themselves, but all the other fun stuff. All right, so let's do some flow work. New flow. This is a screen flow, and this is going to be new game, right? Create game. Or new game, I guess. Change that name. Let's see how we can compose all of this. So S1. Ooh, those are cool. How have I not seen Slack channel? What does that look like? Oh boy. Not right now. Display text. Begin a new game of YCDRPG. There should be like fire and skulls and stuff too, right? Like, no? Boom. We want to select our players. We can make a section for that. Can we, let's do this. Let's put a data table out here. If I put that in a section, can I think I can only do, oh wait, we can do a section. Can we name it? Include a header. And let's call it selected players. This is selected players data table. I'm going to call this selected players section just to try to be good with my naming conventions. Okay, now we're going to move this. Use label as the table label. Table label. We might not even need the section then. We could just, right. Boom. Get rid of this. Sure, and then add a player. Yep. Add player section, and we can do one of two things, right? We can we'll put in a text field here, new character name. I guess we could make a let's make this a 2. Or right. Oh man, it's always so weird. All right, vertical align is obviously not going to be our friend here, but we can get a pick list. Yep. We need a new choice resource. Multiple options, no. And we'll make that a collection of records. This is character options choice set. And I don't, oh darn it, I don't have that yet. Okay, cancel. Darn it, I can't do anything with that. Okay, get rid of you. So what's my error? I don't have a source collection for you yet either. I'm going to remove that too. Let's get characters. Actually, can we just do a lookup? We can do a lookup there, right? We don't need to do this. We can go here and do a lookup. Boop. And this is going to be characters lookup. And the API, the object name is character. The field is name. Label is choose existing character. Dot dot dot. Maximum selections 1. Oh, we can set a default. Okay. Done. Let's see. New game. Should we be seeing your screen? Absolutely. I'm such a maroon. We're not right back. We are back. Thank you. I need a producer. Put my smiley face back out here, but didn't actually show y'all what were we doing. I'm gonna run this in context, and yeah, just save that. Required fields are missing. Oh, we don't need get characters anymore, because we're just gonna. All right, so this flow is gonna fire up. We're gonna begin a new game of YCDRPG, and we're gonna add players to it. So we're either gonna just add new players by name, or we're gonna pick an existing one. And as we do that, I want to take the character that's chosen and then add it to this data table so we can see a running list. And then we're going to have a checkbox at the bottom that says, I'm done adding characters. Thank you very much. So this is the done done adding characters checkbox. Okay, so we're gonna, because there's not a great way to like manage the flow of the flow, we're gonna add a character name. Let's see, we're gonna add a character name. We're going to do this. Nope. What? Oh, we need a data source. I still this is add characters data table, selected characters. Okay, we still need a source. We're going to create a list of selected characters collection, and that's going to be records. We're going to create a list. We're going to populate this. Did I pick that right? Yep. We're going to populate this. Configure the rows. We're only going to make this view only, I think. And let's just add the name of the character. Okay, so now we should be able to save this. Okay, And now we're going to so first we're going to make a decision that's, done adding characters. Right. And the answer to that is yes. Done adding characters, yes. And that is true when our box is checked. And if that is not true, then we're actually going to go back to here. So we're going to keep basically looping back to our screen. We're going to add another condition here that says, nope, not an assignment. How character added. And let's see. New name. Actually, let's give preference here, right? Let's say if we chose a existing selected, that's going to be our kind of preferred mode because we kind of have to pick one. I mean, I guess technically we don't have to do one or the other. We could do both, but that just seems silly. So existing selected is when characters look up record ID is not null. Okay, and the other outcome is we picked a new one. So we're going to add to our collection. I'm going to make a new. I'm going to call this character iterator so that we can use this to create like individual characters and then add them to collections. So if we selected existing, we're going to init character from existing. So we're going to make our character iterator ID equal to our character lookup record ID, and that's it because that's an existing character. And if we don't, then we're going to create. Actually, wait a second. I lied. This is not a. I'm going to delete this. This actually isn't a. This is not selected characters. This is really selected game characters. So, because we need to show them in the context of the game. And we haven't actually initialized the game yet. So let's think about how we do that. We want to show characters here. Yes, we want to show characters here. So we're actually going to on this side, oh darn it, did I just delete that? There we go. Okay, init character from existing. And then we're going to do an assignment that's init character new. So we're going to make our character iterator's name be the name that we entered on the previous page, which is new character name text. Okay. In either case, we're going to add character to collection. Okay, so we're going to take our characters collection. They're all selected right now, right? And we're going to add that our iterator to it. Now I want to do one more thing. I want to have names in this. So this kind of doesn't matter. I just want to make the iterator's name. Well, I want to do both. I want to do both because we're gonna come upon a need to either create new or update existing. And actually, we probably won't update existing. But this collection we're building right now is just to display in the data table. So iterator equals, where were we here? Look up record ID. Adds it to the collection. Are we done? If not, we'll go back to this screen. We want to wipe out some of these values. So if we did select something here, I think we can clear it out. We're going to find out. Yeah, let's find out. So let's save that and then we'll debug. This doesn't do anything. We're just going to be kind of stuck in an infinite loop here. Okay. It's funny that those darn you, Salesforce, those don't look right. Right? They look different. So I should be able to get Merlin out of here, but I'm not. And why is that? That's curious. Okay, so Jojo is our new character. We probably don't even need to show this if the size of our list is not big enough. Next. All right, so there's Jojo. Why can't we pick Merlin here? That seems kind of weird. Sue. Bob. All right, so we can keep going. All right, keep adding them. So we've got our character list here, and we probably could. Maybe we could show like new or existing, possibly, maybe. But let's go figure out why we can't pick Merlin. Because he should be choose existing character. We're looking for characters. Huh. Weird. Why wouldn't we be able to do that? That's the right object. He is indeed a character. I should have access to all those. Let's see, did we make a permission set for character? Yeah, character admin. And yep, access there, and let's just check the group. Character admin. Okay, so I should be able to choose. I don't want to make it a pick list because that just feels like a lot. Okay, try it again. I didn't actually change anything, but why would that be? Well, we're going to consult the Googs here. Let's see, screen flow, look up, no results. Lookup field. Oh, right. You're doing it wrong, Tom. Okay, we actually need. I forgot about that. It has to be a lookup field. It's kind of confusing. We're gonna make this a game character, and then we're gonna make this a character, and then we're gonna make. I think that's. So that's the only tricky bit because it's gonna. This is gonna work, but. Oh wait, no, this should be fine. This should be fine. This should show us the name. We should be able to look up. We should be able to look up against the name. So let's run this again. There he is, Merlin. So it is a game character record that's coming back. So we actually need. Because that record name is going to be different. I'm pretty sure. So if I pick Merlin here and go next. No, wait, I did get him. Actually, I think we're good. Okay. He's AODS or AO1DS, and that is what we got back here. And then we got the name. And then we can go back and do. And then it cleared out, which is good. That's what I was hoping for. So we just kind of keep flipping through this, and then when we're happy, we check. Why is that not checkable? Come on. So if we do this, then that will break us out of our of the process here. So strange that these don't actually line up. We probably could handle that with like some section mojo or layout mojo, but all right. So we would just keep adding our selected characters, and then when we hit next, we have a little bit of work to do, right? So I think what I actually want is I want to populate this. I want to populate the selected characters collection as we have been, but I don't actually need to. In the case of creating new characters, I actually have to save those records. In the case of our existing ones, I don't believe we can actually do a upsert, right? Yeah, we can't do an upsert. So we want to have a new characters collection that we're also putting our new characters into because we have to create those. Okay, and we're going to put that here. So when we init new, we are going to add that to new collection. So our character iterator add, our new collection, sorry. New characters collection, add character iterator. Okay. And so that will cover our new stuff. And then we're going to insert or create new characters. So there's our new characters. And then, so the magic question here is, when we get these new characters, are they, because they're referenced, they both originated from the iterator, will our selected, I want to rename this to selected collection. What we could do here is loop through our selected collection and any record that has, so what we did here is we set the record ID, right? So we could loop through the selected collection, because what we're going to create now is game character records, right? So that's the next collection that we need to work with. So say new game characters collection. A game character associates a game with a character. Okay. And then, okay, so we create our new ones. We're probably going to have to loop through this. We're going to loop through loop selected characters. Okay, and then we'll do a decision here to say is ID null? So our current in the loop ID is null. If it is null, we're not going to do anything, right? We're going to just skip it. Otherwise, so now we also need a game character iterator, so we can work in the loop. All right, and so if it's null, if it is null, we're gonna populate those in a separate loop from our create new characters. It doesn't matter if we do it above or below, really, but it's not null, which means it's existing. So we can work out of this list. So we're gonna assign init game character, and this is our game character iterator dot character equals the current item in the loop ID. We also need to put the game on here, right? I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna cheat, and we're just gonna make this empty string for right now. But I got to come back to that. The whole point of this is to have a game when we're done, which also implies that we need to have our game created soon, right? Sooner upstream. Okay, so we have our, and then we want to add it to, oops, add, oh my goodness, add to game character collection. Okay, so our collection, new game characters collection, add our game character iterator. Okay, that takes care of the existing. Now we're going to loop new characters. So the ones that we just created and we had their names for, that's our new characters collection. And then this one's a little simpler because we know that they're all here. So we're going to, oops, what did we call it before? Init game character. So we'll do the same. Init game character 2. Do our iterators ID, or I'm sorry, our iterators character equals the current element in, which one are you? Nope. Yes, equals this new. I just want to check the iterator up here, make sure we got the right reference. Yep, loop selected. Okay. And then we need to add this. Add to game character collection 2. I'm just calling it 2 because it's the same name as the other. So new game character collection, add our iterator again that we've been working with. All right, and then we can insert our, create our game character records. And there's that collection. Okay. Loopy loopy, super fun. Well, we can do a transform in this. I wonder if that would be easier. We'll come back to that. Transform's my favorite new tool in Flow, and it might make life easier here. I'm gonna back up a little bit though, because when we're done adding characters, we're gonna create. We need a game, right? We need a new game resource. And that's going to be a game. We just need a single record for that. If I go back up here, I can probably get rid of this. Right? Sure. Let's add a. What if we take these out of the section? No, you need the section. I'm going to add another section just to try and be consistent here. Probably should add two sections, right? If we, this is our selected characters, section. Put that in there. Player, let's say, enter new game name, game name. That is wrong. New game name section, and we'll put text in there. Can I not do a wait? Can I not do a label? I can't remember. I think it's going to just show text there. New game name text. And then let's see, we're going to set game name. So new game dot name equals new game name text. Because then, if this is not defaulting, I can default it to what I just said. Haha. Probably should be required. Okay. And now we haven't actually inserted our game yet. We're going to do that after we are going to do that after some time. When? Set game name. Let's keep looping, right? We'll do that when we're done adding our characters. We just need the game ID by the time we get to our game characters. So create game. Do that here. Just one record, our new game record. Save that while we're working here. Okay. And then boop, 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 we're going to init our game character. We were fibbing here, so we're going to do new game ID. And then in our number 2 slot, we also need to do that. Game iterator, game equals new game ID. And no, what's the problem here? What are you complaining about? That was weird. Okay. Did we do it right here? Game equals game. Yep. I don't know what that little... Okay. What? And then do we need to do anything else? We want to create the first step of our... but I think we can do that in a subflow because we're going to be doing that a lot throughout the game. So we might as well... What we just did here is like gotta have for a new game. Then if we want to create a step, we're going to be doing that a lot. So I think I'm going to go back on what I said and not create the steps until it's time to create the steps. I think. But maybe not. Maybe because we have that, like, if I go back to my let's go find our quest, right? So our quest is the Dark Cave of Darkness. It could have as little as 8 or as many as 12 steps. I need the last step to be the boss fight if there is a boss fight. So I kind of have to create the steps at the start. So we need to get a random number. We definitely need to add tools and materials. And tune in next week when we add tools and materials. We absolutely will need them. But right now I'm trying to just get like the game started, right? Get our game, give it a quest, give that first quest some steps, and then we'll come back for sure and do some tools and materials and monsters, right? Monsters and rewards after each of those steps next week. But in order to create the boss, we kind of need to like preordain the steps that we're going to go through. All right, let's do that. So I take back what I said. We might not need a new step subflow. This whole flow has one purpose in life, and that's to create a game. And then once it's done until it's time to create a new game. So if this got uglier or there were parts of it that were being called in different ways, I would break this up into subflows. But really, we're picking stuff, we're looping stuff, we're inserting stuff, and then when we get to here, I guess we probably don't even need the we could just keep going. We don't really need a UI yet. We can just create the so we do need to load our quests. We just need to load. So okay, I take it back. What we can do is encapsulate the quest, right? Because we could have multiple quests. We can say, hey, for this quest, go create steps. Do the random, put the boss at the end, and come back here. So that could be a good subflow to handle that, because we're going to call that again later. We finish a quest. Awesome. Time to start a new quest. So yes, let's do that. What do I got in here? Screen, new game. Let's make a new flow, and this will be auto. And what we need to come in is we need to pass the game ID. We actually could just pass the game. Let's think. When this gets called later, I finish a quest, start a new quest. I would need to have the context of the game to... So let's just pass the game ID, I think. So game ID and previous quest would come in. If previous quest is blank, then we get the one that doesn't have a previous, I think. Game ID is going to come in. Previous quest ID is going to come in. Doop, doop. 2 parameters in. So if previous quest is null, previous quest null, yes. Previous quest null is null. True. If it's null, then we're going to query the first quest. If it's not, then we query the quest where... Sorry, we query the quest that this is the previous quest of. And then let's see our... Okay, so quest, and then we have our distance, and we do the random, and blah, 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 blah. Okay. I got lost there in my own in my own stuff for a second. So, all right, previous quest null. So I think we do want to have, we want to, let's have a local resource that is our, we're going to call it the quest, right? This is or let's call it the next quest. And this is going to be a record of type quest, because we're going to go query this out. And if I do this, I can use either of these conditions and then set the same variable downstream so that I don't have to keep dealing with the conditions from the outcome of the conditions. I don't want to have 2 different variables. I want to just have, like, boil it all down to 1 variable. So if the is null, we're going to get, let's see, get first quest. Okay, so we're going to get quest, and we're just going to get 1, so we know we get a result back. So previous quest is null true. Okay, and we'll store all that. And then after we do that, we'll assign to next quest. So get first quest, or I'm sorry, the next quest equals get first quest. And then if it is not null, then we're going to get, next quest, just 1. Oh wait, we're not going to create the, get rid of this. We are going to get next quest, and that's going to be a quest also. This is going to be where previous quest equals what we passed in. It does that weird wiggle. Just the first one, and then we're going to do the same assignment. So then, oh wait, the next quest equals get next quest. Done. Okay, so those all boil down to the same variable, and we can use the same variable all the way through. We're going to call this auto create quest. Or new quest. I think that's my naming convention. I called the other one new game. Yep. And I'll try to run. I want to try to run these in context. Sometimes I do the flows just all in system context, so they have full access. But let's see. Kind of challenge ourselves to least privilege here. Okay, so we have our next quest. I'm going to pretend to do random right now, but we'll come back and do that because we got 8 minutes left, and I have to dig out the random stuff. So what we're going to do, what we do need is a new step counter, and that's going to be a number, and we're going to start, we don't really need decimals, and we're going to start at 1, right? And then we're going to have a variable that is new step max. We're going to make that a number also. And I'm going to cheat here because I'm going to get the next quest. We're just going to go max steps. So we'll default it to that. This, we're going to, in the future, we'll get rid of this. We'll replace it with the random function, and that'll be our value going forward. So now we have something that we can loop against. Not really a loop, but a kind of like what we did over here, which is more like a do until, a do while, because we're not actually in a loop when we use a decision, and one of the outcomes is to take us back to an element. We're going to do the same thing here. So we're going to do a decision that says reach step max. And if the answer is yes, we're going to bail out. And the conditions for that would be if our next new step counter equals, I think greater than, right, is greater than our max. Because we want to go to the max, and next time this runs, it's greater than, so we bail out. And that should get us the right count. I never get that logic right, so we'll find out. We'll find out how we did. We should get what's the number on Dark Cave of Darkness? We should get 12 steps. Okay, so we got that. Now, if the answer is yes, we bail out. If the answer is no, we're going to come right back. Oh, wait, we can't come back here. We got to come. We have to come up to. We might need another step in here just so we can latch onto something, because I can't come back to. It might let me come back after we build some more stuff underneath these, I think. All right, if we haven't reached max step, we need another iterator, right? We need a new, this is going to be a new step iterator. Step. Oh, new game step iterator. Game step. That's just going to be a single, and then we're going to create a new game step collection, and that will be a collection. Okay. And so now we can If we haven't reached max, we're going to assign init new step, and the step iterator game equals the game ID we passed in. Now we don't have a sequence right now, but Salesforce IDs are a sequence. So if you query for records and you sort by or you order by the Salesforce ID, that should in and of itself be a sequence. The question would be, do we want to have a number, a sequence number on these for some other purpose? Maybe for you, like UI in the future, right? Like, it's kind of like, we could show that like 2 of 12 or something like that. For right now, we're not going to have it, but that's probably something to consider adding to the game step here. Sequence field. So we'll consider that. But we're creating we're iterating, and then there's not a lot else to this object right now. So we're just making a step. We obviously have like all of this, right? Like the type and what kind of monsters could be on it. What, all of that does not exist yet. So we're going to keep it super simple, and we're going to init our step. We're going to add it to our collection. Right, add to game step collection. New game step collection. Add our iterator. Right, and then we're going to increment step counter. And step counter, add 1. Okay. So then we go. That breaks our loop. And then when we're done with our loop, we can create our create game steps. Multiple, new collection, save. Actually, let's see. We need... Yeah, we need to create a game quest. And then relate... let's see. We might have the wrong field on our... let's look at our game step. It's not a game step. It's a quest step. Yeah, I just realized that. That is... Because I'm relating here. This is really a game quest step. Because a game is a collection of quests, and a quest is a collection of steps. Yep. So we're actually off in our data model a little bit. But that's okay. We can fix that. First, I want to definitely pull... Oh, I got a reminder to check for the chicken sounds later. I want to pull all the work we just did from the org. And that's going to cook for a minute. Probably not the most exciting way to end the stream, but we want to get all of our source code, and then we want to push it into source control and be good about doing that. But maybe this is just going to run a second. So I'm not going to make you sit here and watch this. Of course, when I get ready to wrap up, it'll probably finish up. But so what do we do today? We decided that we're going to build YCDRPG. We worked on the data model for that. And it looks something like this. We have created, well, not these, actually. Created everything in green today and got the permission sets and everything else that go along with that. We started 2 flows, one to create a new game and one to create a new quest, which is really a game quest. So I might need to change the name of that. Part of creating a new quest is creating the quest steps, and that's where we realize that we got a little bit of relationship that we need to fix in the data model, which we will do. And we're still waiting for the source to come down. So I'm going to promise to put the source into source control and spin up a new project in GitHub. And I'm going to do my darndest to share some updates out on the LinkedIns and the YouTubes and the other places that things like that happen. Appreciate y'all hanging out today. Gonna get the YouTube videos up. Oh, there it goes. Gonna get the YouTube videos up and try to get some summaries going as well. I'll stop talking. I'm Tom. This is You Can't Do That on Salesforce. Thanks for coming. Stop by next week and we'll build some more stuff. See y'all later.